and I can give you those.
Sorry, no, Luke.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just the first question I want to ask you about is this Price Waterhouse Cooper report. What was the purpose of that report? Because at this stage, it's in and out of our ears and in front of our eyes every time you turn on the radio or the television. Like, what was the purpose of it? And when you talk about how it benefits the economy, I presume you're on about how the money people gave to you benefited the economy. I presume that includes the licence fee. And it's a bit like a TD here commissioning a report on how much money they contribute to the local economy from their wages and their expenses and putting it up as a plus as to why people should vote for them. That would be ridiculous. And it's actually the people's money that you're using to tell us how great you are. Would it not have made more sense to put that money into leaving the slots free for health promotion or for getting people into sport or something like that? What is so important about this that you have to tell us all ye are contributing to the economy with our money? And in relation to the pay of some of your presenters, some deputies said that, well, people are very good at having a go at us for our pay. And by God, are they right, because we get paid way too much. So that doesn't exclude us from asking you, why does someone, let's say, like Marion Finucane, get, according to the latest figures I have available to me here in 2011, $492,000 a year for bringing her friends around on a Saturday, Sunday morning on national radio? And the question, you mentioned how, how important these people are, and from an advertising point of view, if you didn't have them, where would you be? Where would Marion Finucane and where would Pat Kenny be without RTE? Because it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. No one would know who they are if it wasn't for RTE. So when you decide their value, how do you come to your conclusions? Like, do you look at what people get paid in Radio Manchester? I doubt there's anyone getting paid €500,000 for 4 hours work in Radio Manchester. And if they are, I don't know how they're staying open. So, like, how do you calculate the pay of these people? And I think an excellent point was made by the deputy here on my left about the fact that you have new presenters on now that don't appear in the top 10. And to be quite honest, it's refreshing to hear new people on RTE radio, because it is like Groundhog Day at this stage. I mean, how many decades do we need to hear these people for? And they do bring their own personal opinions. And to be quite honest, I think it's time that we're moved on and you use some of your talent. That doesn't seem to cost a fortune, because if it did, they'd appear in the top 10. And look, RTE does a good job in certain ways. It'd want to, God knows you get enough money for it, you'd want to do something good out of it. It's inevitable that you do something good out of it. I will say you have improved from the days when you came on at 5 o'clock in the evening with upstairs, downstairs, and then closed at 11 o'clock at night. That is an improvement, there's no doubt in it. But I think there could be a lot more improvements. But like, from the point of view of value for money for presenters, like in the morning, if you said to Marion Finucane, we'll give you 100,000.
Excuse me, Deputy, I prefer you don't name people.
All right, fair enough, yeah. So just in the morning, if you offered one of these wonderful, people who present on your radio or television shows, 100,000 a year. Have you tried that? Have you said, will you work for that? And if you can't, we'll go and look for someone else. Where would they go? Where would they go? Who'd take them on board? I can't see anyone taking them on board, and sure, if someone did, so be it. And just a final thing in relation to how you employ them through companies. Is that your way of getting them, as you might see, for cheaper, because you don't have to pay them pensions, etc.? And is it the case that that tax system actually, while it's outside your control, it actually facilitates you in getting them? Is that what you feel about it? Okay. That's it.
Okay. Well, just in terms of going through those, on the PwC report,
just comment on that. Other reports that a large company like us would do. There are times where we wouldn't have the resources ourselves to look at comparisons, and where you are tapping into an expertise, and you do ask consultancy that has a reputation or an expertise in certain areas to look how we're performing either in terms of costs or how we're comparing against other international television stations, and to draw that expertise into the organisation to help us with planning and also around our performance. As I said, that particular report, it was a modest amount that was allocated to it, both in terms of the airspace that we have given to it and also what we have actually spent on it.
In terms of the issue around paying, the figure you quote for the individual is the old figure, and there has been a substantial reduction in that individual. In terms of the new presenters, I absolutely agree. Any broadcaster needs refreshing, and and I say it again and I say it earlier, so much when we're asked about this, so much of the discussion is around the highest paid earners, but we have a whole host of people who are not in the top 10 who offer amazing value, who offer who the public respond incredibly positively to, who do an amazing job, and I accept the point you've made, and I'm glad you've made it, that it is noticeable that we are bringing more of those people through. And I think it is noticeable in radio, in news, in terms of initiatives that Kevin has undertaken, and in television. So any broadcaster needs that balance between experience and others. In terms of and the companies, I think that answer would have been included in terms of what my colleague Breda has said, Deputy, in terms of and what Brian has said. There's a whole range of issues around this, around pension, around flexibility, around ability to replace, around all of that has led all broadcasters to, and also the earlier question in terms of people working for others, that has led all broadcasters to have a proportion of on-air talent which are paid through companies.
Just come back on one thing. Like you say that, I'm paraphrasing anyway, that the cuts that the senior presenters have taken is like they're big cuts. But the only reason why they're big cuts is because they were on massive money in the first place. Like if they were on 100,000, 30% would be a big cut. But 30% on 4, 5, 6 and 700,000 is in percentage terms a big cut, all right, but it still leaves them on absolutely ridiculous salaries. It really does. Like it cannot be justifiable in a country with this population. And like the idea that they're some sort of geniuses that can't be replaced, well, that isn't the case. And like, why have them on short-term contracts like you do, and still you have them there for decades and decades and decades? We're sick of looking at them at this stage. Can you change them?
Like we have been over this ground before. Michael, did you want to take a point before I wrap up?
I didn't get an answer, Chairman, to the question in relation to the initiatives in support of the Irish
language. That's correct.
If it could be sent on to the committee, perhaps.
We have a new Irish language policy group. We're determining a new policy across the entire organisation in terms of Irish language, pulling together the various areas. That work is ongoing. I'm expecting a report from that group by the end of the summer, and we will make that report public. We've sought submissions from individuals and external bodies. We've had over 100 submissions, and they're going through those now. We will come out with that, and we intend to publish that document at the. Please don't hold me exactly to it, but I think it will be the end of the summer, early autumn.
That's fine. Thank you, Tom Fleming. And also, when you're answering, I remember Deputy Anne Phelan in relation to London. So just Tom.
Just very briefly regarding the comments and the reply from Mr. Noel Cullen, Director General, regarding the mission to pray episode, and the editor of news. The explanation by Mr. Cullen to me today was I said it was a sacking, and effectively it was a sacking by another name. And I still, I think I leave it to the general public. That's the perception that everybody got, and I do believe that the wrong person was involved, or eventually fell in his own sword, or whatever the wrong person did. That's all I have to say on that.
Okay, that's it then. Do you want to?